right, guys, welcome to the Cash Flow Connection to your financial goals. Thank you guys for joining us today. Uh, this is Miss Cecilia Bailey. She's bringing a lot of knowledge from the financial industry. And guys, please utilize these tools and goals to help you with your business. This is what it's here for. They will be doing this for the next 6 months, six
Yes.
sessions with different topics coming from the Financial Institute of Regents Bank. So, guys, please take notes. Look at the handouts that we're sending and really utilize this stuff to help your business. This is what we put it in in front of you for. So we'll go ahead and get started. So this webinar, what you'll learn is practical strategies for managing income and expenses, tips to improve cash flow, increase profitability, and steps to achieve financial stability and long-term goals. Quick notes, submit your questions via chat. We will get to the questions as either during or we'd rather wait to after so she can get through her presentation. Um, there will be a Q&A session at the end. So if you want to save your questions for then, we will get to them. And stay updated, with these webinars through our weekly dispatch that we send out every week, guys. That's what we put that weekly dispatch out for. So you guys can stay updated and know when there are webinars, as well as in our community portals. We have events that we connect to the portal. So you guys will be emailed or sent a notification when these events are happening. So stay tuned to know when these events are happening. All right. So our speaker, am I saying her? Miss Cecilia Bailey.
You got it. That's correct.
Okay. Miss Bailey has more than 25 years of experience in personal finance, nonprofit management, and community development. Over the past 10 years as vice president, the financial education manager, she has been responsible for fostering community partnerships and strategic delivery of financial educational programs throughout the bank's 16-state footprint. In addition, she is highly skilled in creating and delivering train the trainer programs in the financial education space. She has a true passion for teaching and has served as a subject matter expert on the topic of personal finance. This passion led her to obtain her certified financial educator designation that is recognized by FERNA. She has a true passion for teaching and has served as a subject matter expert on the topic of personal finance. And the passion led her to, oh, that's I already said that. Sorry. But I'll give it to you, Miss Bailey, to take over. Let me stop sharing my screen.
I'm getting a delivery as we speak. Hopefully, they would just leave it on the porch. All right, so we're ready?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. So everybody can see my screen, correct? Awesome. And I do like a little engagement. So if we've got some things, some questions in the chat, please put your questions there. And, Malcolm, I'll ask you to kind of be my producer on that end.
I got you.
And
I got you. I'll take care of you.
thank you very much. And if you're any good, I'll take you on the road with me. How about
Okay.
that?
Okay.
Wonderful. So I am so happy to be here today. Malcolm, thank you for the great introduction. Every time somebody reads my bio, I'm like, who is this person? But this is me. I'm in this space. I love the work that I do, and I love the opportunity to come before this unique, group, this organization, to talk a little bit about how do we connect our cash flow, to our goals. And so you all have the handouts. And today's session is not very long at all. So it really will depend on how much engagement we have and how many questions that you all have, for me towards the end. But the first section we want to talk about and highlight is really talking about our goals. Many of the goals that we have some kind of financial attachment, to it. It doesn't matter if we're trying to buy a house, start a business, get a car, get married, go on a date, whatever it is. There's usually some kind of financial obligation that is tied to that. And one of the best things that we can do for ourselves, and I do this exercise myself at the beginning of every year. I write down. I just wrote another goal in my on my list of 50 goals here that deals with technology, since we were having some challenges this morning. Um, but I do that every year, just to make sure that I am accountable to myself, that I've got some different areas that I'm touching on: finances, my faith, my fitness, the home, relationships. What kind of goals do you have, in that space, family or what have you. But I list out 50 of those every year, and then I drill it down to target on like maybe 5 or 6 to really accomplish those. So it's really important that the first topic that we talk about here is identifying what your financial goals are. For some people, it could be retirement, it could be college, it could be, a car or a new house. I've got an older car, so I need to start thinking about what does that look like for me in terms of saving for a car. Now, I'd rather save for my vacation, but nonetheless, I've got to figure out what those things look like. So the first thing we do want to do is we want to identify what our goals are. Then the second thing, this is just as important, is we want to organize those goals. We may have a goal that is long term, that may be 5 years out, but there are things within the next year or the next 2 years that actually relates to that goal that should be a part of our medium term or our shorter term goals. Now, you see the handout here that talks about, how short term goals are less than a year, medium term is 1 to 3, and then you got long term 5 years or longer. Now, you can call them micro goals, or micro mini goals, or short term micro short goals, or what have you. But I do like to think of goals in 90-day time frames, because within 90 days, it helps us see that we've actually made some progress and probably get us to be a little bit more attentive, as opposed to saying, I've got this 1 year goal to save $1,000, excuse me, but you get to August and it's like, you haven't saved a penny, as opposed to saying, I'm going to save $250 a quarter, and then break that down even further to say, okay, then I need to see, what is that, $75 a month? So if I'm not seeing that $75 a month, I might not meet that goal of $1,000 in a year. Okay. So those smaller bite-sized goals that you can actually see, feel, and touch, I think can happen in 90 days. Okay. And then the next step, so we've identified our goals, we know what we want to do, we've organized them into the different categories. And then the next thing we do is want to educate ourselves. We have all of the information we need at our fingertips. And some of us, we don't even type in the phone anymore. We just talk to Alexa and Echo and all these other things, to just tell them to share with us, tell us, how to do this and how to do that. But I do encourage people to find blogs or podcasts or um, books that interest you, that will help you get to where you want to go. And so I personally listen to financial podcasts. Now, I am a bit of a money nerd, but that's okay.
Do you
But
have
there
any? Do you have any that you could give? Give us a few that you
I
listen.
do. I
Okay.
do. So, one of my favorite ones is called Redefining Wealth, and that is with Patrice Washington. It's a lot more than just about. I feel like I'm an ad for her, money and material things, but it is really about the whole person, and how, wealth is not just about, money, but it is about our health. It is about relationships, right? And so she's somebody that I really identify with. There's another one, his and her money show is another one. And oh gosh, what is it? This is a new one that I've started to pick up lately, because this has to deal with couples. So if you are in a relationship, for better or worth, that's a good one. For better or worth, that's a nice one. And then another two that I listen to. Now, some of these are really slanted towards the females, because that's just, that's me. That's who I identify with. And so, Her Money is another one with Gene Chatsky that I listen to, and So Money with Farnoosh Torabi. But I've got a couple more. I'm just gonna give you a couple more. Rich and Regular is another one, and they're out of Atlanta. I sit here in Atlanta. And then also Stacking Benjamins with Joe. I forget Joe's last name. He's out of somewhere in like Kansas City, Kentucky, Oklahoma, area. But very funny. And sometimes some are a little bit longer, some are more conversational, and then you have some of this like just information. There's another gentleman who does a podcast called I think it's called the Popcorn Podcast or something like that. Yeah, it's called Popcorn Finance. And so his whole thing is to give you financial tips in as much time as it'll take you to eat a bag of popcorn. So yeah, so just find your fit. There are different seasons where, if you are working on budgeting, that you'll be strictly tuned into somebody that's talking about budgeting. You may be thinking about investments. What does that look like? or you might be thinking about, home ownership. And then you go to a blog, like that. And then depending on your levels, it's like I've gotten this basic stuff now. Now I want to go to the next level. What are they talking about? And so I just feel like Patrice Washington is one of those people for me that I've grown with her as she's grown. Yeah, so just find your fit, out there. I know I gave you all a lot, but there are also, magazines and websites and things like that that would benefit you as well. And then the fourth thing, after you've educated yourself, you want to evaluate your progress. You have to check in. That is why I have my own personal book as a form of accountability, but I also have people that I check in with. So I have a person, not just a financial planner, but a friend whom I respect, right? Who I feel like knows me well enough that I can trust and say, hey, I want to purchase this, but I have this to do, you know, help me sort through this process. And so I would suggest that you find an accountability partner as well. And we have a lot of resources on regions.com / next step. And I think that tool I'll give you at the end as well,
Okay.
that will connect you to podcasts and other shorter seminars and things like that that would help. So before we move on to the next category, I want to see if there's any questions in the chat about setting financial goals. Are there any challenges? Do people get excited about it? Is it a chore? How do you feel about that? Because that really is the foundation for how you're going to manage your money and how you can make your yeses yeses and your nos nos. Because no is a complete sentence. It really is. So, can I borrow $100? No.
No.
So, we owe
Do
no
do
further
so
explanation.
do we have any questions? Anybody have any challenges, I guess, when they think about setting goals for their finance? Is it overwhelming? Is it kind of anything you have, please?
Mhm. Say it again.
I guess we're shy today. Usually we
Okay,
have we have
not a
questions,
problem,
but
not a
we're very
problem. But
fun.
we will keep on going.
Okay.
All right, so now that we talked about our goals, understanding your cash flow,
Oh,
as simple
oh,
as
oh,
this
oh, I'm sorry,
sounds.
Miss Bailey. I'm sorry.
Okay.
We have one, Jamie, Miss Jamie Green. It's challenging at times because of the rising prices and checks staying the same. So I guess she's inflation and the money not matching up.
Inflating with the
Yeah,
inflation, right.
exactly, exactly.
We got, yeah, no, that is an issue for all of us. We I was just having this conversation with somebody earlier today. They didn't work for our company, but they were talking about the potential of a 1% increase. And we know that the inflation is inflating. And one of the things that we can do is, take advantage of the things that we can control, right? So we may not be, eating out all the time or just going to the grocery store and buying what we want. I call, my freezer the freezer ministry. So that means that I will make a pot of something, if it's a pot of chili, a pot of vegetable soup or whatever, and I'll freeze individual bowls so that I can pull that out at a later date. I'm also very conscious of I will go to the grocery store more often than not, because if I go and I buy a bunch of fruit and vegetables and things like that and it goes bad, now I'm upset, right? Because I
Yes,
have wasted that money for groceries that I spent more on. So we have
yes.
to be more mindful of that in meal prepping and things.
So more frequent trips instead of buying
I was
for the
yes,
long. Okay.
more frequent trips. And if you don't need eggs, we just not gonna buy eggs now because eggs are like $5,
Yes,
$6.
they are. Yeah, they are.
So if you don't need it, it's just like I'm not baking cakes here. I'm not, I don't. I can choose something else to have for breakfast. I'll find recipes that don't use them. I'm not going to participate in it. I'm not going to spend $20 of my food budget on eggs because they're through the roof.
Mhm.
Now, if somebody needs them for something else, then you'll find a way to cut in another category, right? I think I saw another. Oh, I was going to say too, controlling the temperature in your home environment could be another way to save and feel like you're in control of those types of things. Now if you're driving and you have to go a certain distance for work, transportation, that may not be an area that you can cut down in. But maybe you'll go to a Sam's Club or BJ's or Costco. Those memberships might be beneficial just for one aspect of your life. So just think about that. Or if not, just call up a friend. I know I used to do that before I had my little Costco card. Hey girl, you going to Costco?
Yeah.
Let
We
me
we
get some
have
gas.
we have one more. One of the challenges is so many people look to social media and so-called experts that provide misleading information. Yeah,
Mm.
yes.
Yes, that is true. That is true. You have to, and you really do have to vet people and vet the information that's being presented. You know, if it doesn't work for you, it doesn't work for you. You know, the podcast that I recommended to you. I mean, a lot of those people I've actually met. You know, during conferences, one have like a real relationship with. So I trust the integrity, of what they're saying. But you got to do what works best for you. I will say this is that there is nothing new in the world of finance from the perspective of a budget is a budget is a budget. Is always going to be income and expenses and then investments. How is your money working for you? There's no magic to this. The challenge becomes, yes, when you have less money and more expenses, that's a challenge. The other challenge becomes is when we don't, from a behavioral standpoint, apply those principles. Now, sometimes it's difficult to do that. I didn't go out of the house yesterday because I knew that if I had gone out the house to go and get my other two nails for my project,
Hmm.
that I was gonna find some other stuff in Home Depot. And I
Hmm.
said, you know what? I'm just going to wait. And I'm going to wait until I feel like, because it wasn't urgent. But
Yes.
I knew that I would walk around and I would find something. So we have to, that's the behavior change that I'll impose upon myself. I'm not going to go on window shop because sometimes you do a little bit more than that. So we
Yes.
have to apply, some discipline. And like I say, if we have the extra, if we have something, discipline is very important. If we don't, then we have to figure out a way to um, um, compensate for that gap that we may have between our income and our expenses. Okay, so I hope that helped a little bit.
I'm sorry. I get now it's
That's okay.
cranking up. uh,
Okay.
Also buying a few extra items, non-perishables, when they sew on a nice, or I guess when they're on the sale. By the time you run out
Mhm.
again, it will likely be on sale again. Laundry detergent and soaps.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. So stocking up on non-perishables. Yes, I agree in that. Now I'm not ready for, the apocalypse, but but I do have a little extra, right? So that I'm not, if something were to happen, I don't have to be the one rushing to the store because the ships are out, stuck in the water, and they didn't even have toilet paper on it to begin with. But we went to Costco and just cleared out the shelves the last time
Hmm.
that they were talking about,
Yes.
the freight,
Supply chain was messed up. It
supply
was,
chain. Yes,
yeah,
exactly,
yes.
exactly. And so yeah, so add, buying a little extra if you have that, then that's fine, and that brings comfort, right? It brings safety. There's like, I'm not gonna run out of something, but I've got a little extra there. So
Okay.
yes, thank you for that. So the next thing we'll talk about, we're going to talk about this cash flow, right? We have to understand income. Where's it coming from? What are all the sources? I've got money coming in from wages. I might be getting some government assistance. I might be getting child support. I may have a side hustle. I may be earning money on investments. I looked at my little cash app. I was like, okay, Cecilia, this is all right. Like I've earned like $340, in the last year, in cash app just by putting like 20 bucks over there and choosing like, I don't know, like 6 or 7 stocks that relate to me. Why would I not have a piece of Amazon when I got stuff in my cart all the time? Why would I not have a piece of Apple when all my products are, you know? So I'm a very practical person when it comes to that. So I'm looking at that, that's income, but I'm not going to like pull that money out, right? But investments are a part of that, right? So you've got your income, you want to make sure that it is going into a bank account somewhere where your money is secure, because under the mattress is not going to work, right? So we've got an account of all of our income. And then now we've got all these different places that it goes. So it goes, for housing, it goes for utilities, debt, bills, savings, and things like that. And then food, of course. So those are our expenses. One of the ways that okay, we do talk about this in this next section here and talking about tracking what that looks like. Many of us don't know how much money we're actually spending on things. I don't recommend, you doing a budget and saying, okay, this is what I spend until you have tracked that for at least 30 days. We may say I only spend $250 on food. Now we know that's a lie from the pit, because everybody, you could be single with no children and you spending
Yeah.
more than
Yes.
$250 a month
Yes.
on groceries. And so you may have habits, you may have vices, you may have different things that you're not even tracking, because it's like, oh, I just pull a 20 out of my pocket, or I just break 100 of this, or whatever it is. But if you track everything, then now you'll have a better account of that. And you can determine what you might have to cut back on, or how you may need to earn more in order to support, your lifestyle.
One
Right.
one one thing I've and I'm no expert or anything, but I've always tried to use maybe one card on for
Mhm.
all expenses because it allows me to be able to track things. And when you have cash here and three cards here, and it's just everything
Mhm.
is going so crazy, you don't know how much money you're spending. So to kind of
Yeah.
consolidate it on one account, that's
Mhm.
one thing I've tried to do.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great idea, Malcolm. And that's actually what I do for my groceries. So
Mhm,
my grocery money, there's a percentage of my income, of my check every week, that goes into an account, into my Regions account, actually.
mhm,
That takes care of groceries, my entertainment, sometimes birthdays. I can get that, out of that, depending on whose birthday and how many are in that month. But even if I'm just sending a card with just like a Starbucks card, like happy birthday, here's a $5 Starbucks gift card, then that's what that is. So, because I love grocery shopping. I do. It just be out of control.
mhm,
So it's like, in order to not use up all my other money, it's like I have that over here. Or we can go back to an old fashioned, what do you call it? The envelope method, right? If there's something where you think that you really, really are out of control with, you take that money out of your account, put it in an envelope, and that's what you have to spend on that particular thing. But managing multiple cards, you're absolutely right. It was driving me crazy as
mhm,
well. It's like, I can't do this. I'm down to two, yeah, two cards. And it's like, one is connected to the bank account and the other one is American Express.
mhm.
That's it. Because I don't want to have the issue of, I don't care if you give me 10% off, 20% off with the none. I don't want any of the savings
Mhm.
because it's too much to manage.
Mhm.
So yes. So narrowing that down where it makes sense for you is going to be critically important. But make sure that you are knowing that you're tracking your expenses at least for 30 days, so you can see what in reality you're paying. And then the other thing to consider too, in those 30 days, you don't have things that you pay every month. So you may have your insurance, your car insurance that you pay every 6 months. You may have your HOA fee that you may pay every 6 months. And so though that's not monthly, that's coming out. And so you'll find that in some months it's like, ooh, it's tight. No, you didn't account for that 6 month expense that's coming up. And mine is never convenient. Every time it comes up, it's like you thought you had an extra check. And then here comes the car insurance. It's like here come the HOA. So factor those things in as well. And then, and we've got some things here too that talks about energy efficiency and making sure that you are doing the things that you need to do there. It could be, putting up some heavy curtains in the wintertime, or putting plastic to your windows, or whatever it is that's going to save on your energy bill. I know that Georgia Power has not an app, but they have an alert that you can set your daily usage amount, and then they will send you an email to let you know that you have gone over on that particular day. And then you can just kind of see, well, what did I do? Did I have company? Was I doing laundry? What allowed, or what prompted that bill to go over that usage for that day. Okay, so know where your money goes. And so now we're going to get into an actual spending plan. And some people call this a budget, and that's fine. Whatever you want to call it. You can name it whatever you want. You can name it Roger, Sally, my money maker, or whatever it is. But it's a spending plan, and there should be three components of it. It should be balanced. It should be
Did,
flexible.
or did you want to share your screen or do you?
Oh, I thought I was sharing. I'm not
Oh
sharing.
no, I thought we were just freestyling for a minute. Okay.
Oh no, is it sharing?
No, it's not.
Oh, okay. Hold on 1 second. Let me stop and then share it again. See what happens. Is it sharing now?
Yes, it is.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. And so yeah, so that spending plan, as I said, should be balanced, flexible, and realistic. Meaning that if you've got one area that is more expenses than income, we need to figure out how to balance that. Um, Most people don't have a problem if they have more income than expenses, right? That's what we want to have. But you also have to have a plan for that surplus, or else it will get sucked up and you will will find that you don't have money to do those extra things that you really wanted to do. And it needs to be flexible and realistic, right? So we don't want to say that we're going to spend, $700 on housing when we know we need to spend 1,500. Okay. So it needs to be realistic. So we're going to show an example of a spending plan here. And we've got this person who is 27. They are an administrative assistant. Let me pause right here and let's just ask in the chat, how many people actually um, have a budget, right? Just say yes or no, and there's no shaming. And then for those that are yes, share with us in the chat, how do you keep your budget? Is it in a spreadsheet? Is it in a notebook? Is it in an app? What is that? Okay, so I see a not yet. Awesome. Hopefully after this we will. Yes, Jamie uses an app. Anybody else? What do you use? Do you have one? Okay. And so I am an old school person. And so I actually write my budget out because I just feel like writing just brings a different sense of empowerment. And I used to have creating one using QuickBooks. Okay, Tawana, for business especially, that's critically important. I wouldn't use it. I wouldn't use the writing method just for business. But I use this same notebook that I have my daily planner in. I write in the back of that book, what my budget is for each month. And because some of those expenses can change, then I go ahead and write those on there monthly, what I pay. And then those other ones that I talked about, like the HOA and the insurance, I make sure that I have that on there so I can see um, what is coming up and what's going to be due. So you need to have some kind of methodology for that. So this particular person, they're admin assistants. They've got a high school, degree. They're married. Their spouse's salary is $3,500 a month, and coupled together, they bring in $6,400 a month with two children. Is it manageable? Yeah, I think it can be, depending on where you live, how you live, and what your goals are. And so, on the right side of the screen, you see all of the expense categories. Now, this will vary. This will vary from person to person, but in general, these are some things that we feel every household is actually having to pay. And we'll talk a little bit later about some things that are not there and what does that look like. So we've got savings first. Savings is one of those things where you want to have a cushion set aside for emergencies, retirement, anything that's coming up that you might not expect, right? You've got that savings set aside. And sometimes people have a couple of savings account, right? Here's my 3 months living expenses over here, and then this is just my savings that cushions my checking account. This is just my savings where I can pull a little bit extra out because I went over to the Temu and the Shein and ordered me some outfits, right? So make sure that you have that savings off the top of every paycheck, even if it's small. If you have to start small, one of the things that Dave Ramsey has said for years is having that $1,000. If you can't do anything but that, everybody cannot have 6 months of living expenses right off the bat, right? It might take you 2 or 3 years to get there, but $1,000 will generally cover most emergencies that you would have. You need a tire, refrigerator gone out, that could kind of cover it. All right. And the next category we have our housing. So whether that's rent, mortgage, or what have you, you're going to have property taxes, you're going to have homeowners insurance. That's about 35%. And for them, this is going to be $1,600. Okay. Now we don't know if they're renting or if they have a home, but 35% of that. Now, why do you all think that we have these guidelines, these percentages? What do you think the importance of that is? If you share with us in the chat. For some of y'all, this might be the first time that you've seen it.
You said God, so why do we have the guidelines
The
for
guidelines, the percentage of your income. Why do we have like 10% for savings, 35% for housing? Okay.
not overspending your earnings?
Okay. That's a good one. And you don't want to overspend in certain categories, right?
Yes,
So you don't want to have 50% of your income going towards loan payments. If you
I
do,
agree.
then there's something wrong with that, because that then creates this imbalance and we feel like we're not getting ahead. There was a season when my transportation expenses was just as much as my housing expenses. Not because I was driving a Porsche Cayenne. She was nice. The note was only 300 and something dollars a month, right? And insurance was, I don't know, maybe another, couple of hundred, but it was the gas.
Mm,
During that time, it was costing me $400 to $500 to fill up, because she probably got about 2 miles the highway, 2 miles to the gallon, right? That's
mm,
that's what it felt like.
mm.
But but nonetheless, I had to go to work. I wasn't seeing my friends. It's like those friends who live like, 10, 20 miles away. It's like, I can't come and visit because Kayana can't come out there because gas is too much. And so for me, I was like, oh, I got to change this, right? Something's got to shift, because I'm teaching this. Is like, it didn't feel right. And so I knew that it was because gas was high. So what did I do? Well, I traded in my car. I got another car
Mm.
that used regular gas, because also repairs came with that. And that last repair, I was like, no, I can't do this, because that is now eating into my retirement. I'm not
So
going to
so
give. Mhm.
I see. So I see it as like as if you're a house and say like air is seeping out the house, and it's like you're trying to patch up these holes of money seeping out. And I guess that's what the
Yes.
percentages kind of get you accustomed to. Like, okay, all right, why are we spending 30% of our more on food or something of that
Mhm,
matter?
mhm.
So how can we patch that hole up to keep money from
Yes.
just seeping out into it?
Absolutely. No,
Mhm,
I like that analogy.
mhm.
Absolutely. Yeah, because we don't want it. We don't want to just, being mismanaged or improperly handled or not, aligned with what it is that we're trying to get to. And then we got to go back then to the goals, right? What are we trying to do? So if we don't have money left over, or if we say that we want to get a house, but we got a $900 car note, I don't know who that is, right? But it's people do that. We got to do something different. And so I know that I was behind with retirement. I'm not finna give the Porsche dealership 5 grand. I'm getting ready to put that into my future, or I'm going to put that into my home, because that car is not going to be of value to me in the next 5 years. But if I redid this bathroom over here, that probably would,
Mm,
right?
yes.
So we've got to prioritize those things and really see money as something that works for us, and not just us working for it all the time. And sometimes we have to stay on social media. We cannot look like the Joneses, the Smiths, the Carters, the whomever. We just have to look like ourselves, right? And find people who align with what we're trying to do and where we're trying to go. So we've got, food and groceries, here 15%. Them a lot of groceries, but that's, I guess, for a family of four, that might be about right. $980.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes,
Yeah.
I'm probably got some friends who they got some grown boys in their house, so I'm
Yeah.
sure
Y-
they are spending, over $1,000 for groceries. Transportation, again, we talked about that. So that's going to be your car payment. That's going to be, repairs, maintenance, gas, insurance, all of that stuff. And for some people, that may be two cars, right? And so that 980 has to include, both of those vehicles or both modes of transportation. And then loan payments. This is one that really can get a lot of people, off track. When we talk about our credit cards, a credit card debt and student loans, those payments sometimes can take up, 15, 20, 30% of our income. And we have to figure out a way. It doesn't have to be that way always. The student loans are not forever. You pay those off, then they're done. The credit card, then that's behavior. We have to figure out how to get out of that debt and how not to go back into it. Okay. Entertainment. So this is cable TV. I don't think I know a person who still has cable, but the internet streaming services and all of that. Now a lot is clumped into that 5%. You may pull those things apart and be like, okay, this is going to be my clothing budget. This is going to be my vacation money, and then this right here, entertainment, might go into utilities. Maybe my subscriptions and utilities are combined. But that's solely up to you. And then the last one is family expenses. We do a simulation with students and adults called reality check. And a lot of times the high school kids, they'll get a persona, something like this, and they'll see that they've got two kids, and they was like, Miss Bailey, we're not gonna make it. I was like, yeah, the kid's expensive. Yeah, you need to go home and tell your parents thank you for all the things that they do. But remember, if you're getting your kids involved in sports and lessons and all that stuff, that can cost. Daycare can cost, so just remember, as you plan for a family, as you plan for, as your kids are growing up, that you've got to factor those things in. And sometimes I remember we did a class for a group of parents, and they had to track their expenses for 30 days, and then we came back and we did a realistic budget. Well, one lady, she realized that her kid was kind of popular in school. She got invited to all the birthday parties. What does that mean? That's a birthday gift. Every, week or every 2 weeks or every month, there is somebody that's having a party, but that wasn't in her budget. So now we got to create this fund money, or figure out a way that what are we going to do? What are we going to take to each one of these kids to this party? But those kind of things kind of creep in. So this just gives you an idea of what you can do. And we've got some other links that will be attached, and you can scan the QR code to get, we've got budget worksheets and all kinds of things, online. So feel free to do that, in goal setting documents and things like that as well. Okay. And so we've got some information here. Here's the one about, I was telling you about regions.com/next step. So that's going to be other articles, podcasts, calculators, and things like that. And then the last page is just really a lot of resources and tools and other courses that you can take, and even learning for kids, because I tell people all the time, as you learn this information, go home, share it with your kids. We've got things for, you know, kindergartners and first graders, second, third graders as well. Just helping them to understand the concept of money, what things cost. This is actually how I even got involved in the personal finance space. My dad, when we were younger, in high school and even middle school, his handwriting was horrible. So we would have to write out the checks. And so in writing out the checks, we asked the question, well, who is Illinois Bell? That's the phone company. Oh, who is People's Gas? That's the gas company. That's how we heat the house. Oh, what is this? This is my car payment. It's like, oh, okay. So engage them, in the process, so that they can understand how to manage money and be better than we are as stewards over what it is that we have. Okay. So we will take some questions. I told you I wasn't going to take long. We'll take some questions, and they can either put them in the chat or come off or share an experience that you've had, and we'll go from there.
And guys, I want to say this. I know you're thinking like, okay, yeah, this is NDTA, the Dump Truck Association, and it's about business, but this is where it starts. If you can't do this with your personal finance,
Mm-hmm.
it's going to be hard to do it when you start in a
Yes.
business, because
Yeah.
trucking is about numbers. Trucking is about managing. The margins are small, and so if you have to get in the habits of looking at your cash flow and looking at where every dollar is going, because when that business starts, when that truck starts rolling, and the expenses and its maintenance and its tires, you're gonna have to have these habits established to be able to prosper in this business. So this is the reason why we're bringing this financial literacy to NDTA. And guys, I hope you really took some notes and are just trying to take this back to your business and start to form these habits, because this will help you. This is what has helped me in dump trucking. Numbers tell a story to me. And so
Mm,
when you start to understand where where your money is going, what is this happening, you start to make pools and pots for your money, especially in your business, it will save you. So right now, any questions you guys have, we want to hear some case stories. Let us
oh,
know.
yes.
You guys don't have to be shy today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, situations, and maybe it's your cousin and not really you, but we're open to hearing. We're open to hearing the case stories for sure. I thought this was a really unique opportunity. I have to say that, we have not had a dump truck association that we've ever, presented to, but my dad was a over the road truck driver
Hmm.
for all of his life. He drove, 18 wheelers and stuff like that. And and made very good money. Not always the best financial decisions, but
Hmm.
he made good money.
Hmm.
So, but yeah, but it is an opportunity. I know that's for that particular trucking, that's a lifestyle. When you are out, on the road, and um, the expenses that you will have, there is a little bit different than somebody who's just working a 9 to 5. So
Yes, yes, it
yeah,
is.
yeah. Let me see.
Let me see. Any questions?
No questions, no
No
comments
questions,
in
no
the chat.
comments.
Okay.
I give them a couple more minutes. Maybe they typing.
Okay.
All right.
Got you. Got you. And
Well,
what is our next session coming up? Maybe we can talk a little
uh,
bit
uh,
about
uh, I forgot I'll go in and see the next session. It is
okay. And you might have a different speaker. I think Karen Tremay will be here
okay.
that particular day. Thank you, Jamie. Oh, a Fox budget planner. Okay, okay. That I'll be using for the handwritten. Okay, that was somebody said it earlier. I'm familiar with the Fox budget planner. I actually used that last year. Uh-huh. Very good.
Okay, let me update these. Thank you. Oh, they're saying thank you for your time. Thank you for good reminders. Remember, we're passing this legacy on to our children, whether it be debt
Mhm.
or managing finances well. Jamie said, when taking the next steps with the regions, do you have one-on-one counselor?
Okay, so that's a good question, Jamie. So we don't have one-on-one counselors here, but we do have, like, if you click on one of those QR codes and to meet with a banker, we have these things that we do call Regions Green Print. And so that green print is just kind of like your blueprint, kind of play on words and colors, that helps you to chart out what your next steps are. Now, if you are in need of like counseling for like um, deep budgeting, credit issues and things like that, I would look for on HUD's website, and I'm going to put it in here. Well, I don't know what they're doing now, but the way our government is being run right now. But not www.hud.gov. There are agencies in each city, state, not shouldn't say each city, but each state will have a list of agencies that are available to do one-on-one credit counseling. And so, and I'm saying HUD.gov because these are agencies that have to meet certain criteria. I would not just trust any willy-nilly kind of credit counseling agency, especially ones that have you pay an exorbitant fee for services up front. Anything like, maybe like $50 or $60 to meet with somebody, I think that is reasonable. But they have some where you don't have to pay anything because they're funded by private entities and then also by the federal government for now. All right. And so, okay. And so next month we'll talk about preparing a personal and spending and saving plan.
Yes.
Okay.
So
And
that'll
then
be
credit.
March 20th, guys. March 20th.
Mhm.
A representative would be from regions talking about preparing a personal spending and savings plan. So if that's, something that you really, I mean, saving is always important. Saving is, you have to put up money for a rainy day. And I always like to relate it back to business. This is the way that you can mitigate those down times when you have money in your savings. It will save you tenfold with just being, it's preparing for things and not just kind of living day to day in a sense. And
Mhm.
so, guys, March 20th, we will have another webinar, same time, 12 o'clock. I hope you guys got something out of this webinar. It was short, sweet, like you guys like it. uh, and keep coming. We will actually start posting this next one to get you registered and get you already have the marketing material, well, the material that they send us. We'll already have it
Mhm.
out for you. Just keep coming back to these webinars, and would love if you guys could send. I'll put the email in there. Send us what you guys liked about this one. Is
Oh
anything
yeah,
you
let me
guys
know.
change? Anything
Mhm.
you guys got out of it? Give us some feedback because we want these to be very beneficial. We don't want to just do them just for the sake of doing them.
Absolutely.
And so please, I'll send the emails. It's contact at thenDTA.org. But I'll put in the email. Send us what you thought about this webinar. Any questions, concerns, feedback, please let us know.
Yeah. Thank you, Malcolm, for providing this for your participants. I really appreciate it.
Oh,
And I'm
no
sure they
problem.
will at some point in time.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
And it's perfect because it's what's going on with the economy. You know, people are really kind of just in disarray. The inflation. You go to the grocery store and a bread that we purchased for $1 something a year ago is now $3. Eggs. I have
That part.
never seen eggs this sky high.
That part.
It makes you think about baking that cake.
We're not
uh,
having no cakes up in here. We're not baking no cakes.
yeah.
We ain't eating no sweets. We just gonna lose a little weight is what
Yeah,
we
we
gonna
gonna
do. We go
exactly, exactly,
that's what
exactly.
we gonna do. We
Yes.
gonna figure out another way. Mhm.
But
We
if we don't
always
have
do.
we don't have any more questions, guys, thank you for coming and we'll see you next month.
Okay.
And
Awesome. All right.
thank you,
Thank
Miss
you.
Celia. We really appreciate you, Miss
You
Bailey.
welcome. You welcome. My pleasure. All right. Have a good one.
All right.
Bye.